Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Koen Peters. I am a marketing project manager at Perstorp, and I would like to thank you for joining us today in this webinar. And in this webinar, my colleagues Jenny Klevås and Linda Zellner will introduce Pevalen Pro to you. Pevalen Pro is our bioattributed phthalate-free plasticizer for sustainable PVC applications. They will also discuss the mass balance concept and Perstorp's sustainability ambition. I want to make you aware that this is a pre-recorded webinar and you joined in on listen-only mode, and that means your microphones are on mute. If any questions come up during today's presentation, please write them in the question panel on your right-hand side, and we will do our best to answer them within a few days. Before I hand over to Jenny and Linda, I would like to give you a short company brief on Perstorp. Perstorp is a Swedish company with a long history. We were founded in 1881, which means we are about 140 years on our way. We are a world leader in several sectors of the specialty chemicals market, and also a pioneer in formalin chemistry, plastics, and surface materials. We are a global company. We have sales presence in 26 countries, and we also have production plants on 8 different sites across the globe in 3 different continents, in Europe, in Asia, and in North America. Last year, our turnover was 11.8 billion Swedish kroners, which equals about 1.2 billion US dollars. Now I'd like to hand over the word to Jenny and Linda.
Thank you for the introduction. So my name is Linda Zellner, and I'm Director of Innovation here at Perstorp. I've been with the company for about 10 years, having different roles within innovation. Now I manage our innovation projects and market development activities for our strategic markets. My background is a chemical engineer with a main focus on polymer materials, with a great passion for new innovations and sustainability.
And my name is Jenny Klevås, and I work as Market Segment Manager at Perstorp. 17, and in my product portfolio, which I'm responsible for, includes Pevalen and Pevalen Pro. My background is within mechanical engineering, so I have a Master of Science degree, and I also have a Licentiate of Technology in Design Sciences. So today we will talk about Pevalen and Pevalen Pro. We will start off by talking a little bit about our view on plastics and PVC. Can this really be a material for the future? We will continue by introducing Pevalen, our phthalate-free plasticizer. We will talk about the value chain for plastic materials. We will explain the mass balance concept and the ISC certification, which is a certification we have chosen to use for our bioattributed products at Perstorp. Then we will introduce Pevalen Pro a little bit further and also talk about Perstorp's sustainability ambition. And then we will end up with a classic Swedish fika and a discussion session with some questions and hopefully answers as well. Perstorp has a very long history in the plastics and PVC industry. Actually, already in 1917, we developed the first plastic component at Perstorp. In the 40s, we had Scandinavia's first modern plastic industry, offering more than 10,000 different products. In the 80s, we became a fully integrated plasticizer producer. And in our plasticizer portfolio, we have MLT 100, which is a DPHP plasticizer. And in 2013, we launched Pevalen, our phthalate-free plasticizer. And just recently, we are launching Pevalen Pro, the bioattributed counterpart to Pevalen. So let's start talking about plastics. This very hot topic. Since a few years back, I think we've all seen horrible pictures of shores and rivers covered in plastic waste. And this human-created waste ending up in completely wrong places it's very hard not to be impacted by. Plastic waste is visible as it floats or remains suspended in water. But I think we need to keep in mind that 70% of marine litter, such as glass, metal, and all sorts of marine equipment or other refuse, sinks to the ocean floor, according to UNEP. So plastic waste is literally only the tip of the marine littering iceberg, but more visible and still, of course, a huge waste management problem. Consumers, they are becoming more aware of the amount of plastic they surround themselves with, leading them to re-examine their relationship with plastic. Increasing public awareness about the impact of marine littering has led politicians to pledge bans on single-use items as a part of efforts to prevent plastic waste entering the ocean. However, it's not just the single-use applications that concern consumers. They're paying closer attention than ever to the plastic embedded in their environment, in their spaces they work, live, and play. And as new forms of communications make it easier for consumers to join forces and drive regulatory changes, there is more emphasis than ever on plastics as a material. But is really removing plastics once and for all the answer? What do you say, Linda?
Well, let's take a closer look at that question. So with the background that Jenny gave us, we see that working in the chemical industry, and specifically with solutions for plastic applications, we have a big responsibility to share our knowledge, facts, and figures which we base our decisions on. Today, we are greatly influenced by how plastic actually makes us feel, based on what we see, how it's flooding our seas, like we saw in the previous picture, and also the nature around us. But we tend to forget what difference it makes in our lives too, that plastics do good. And to further emphasize plastics as a material for the future, let's assume that we would replace plastics with other materials. Would that create a better and more sustainable society? As we discuss the most sustainable solution, it's important to take a holistic view from the selection of raw materials, conversion into a product, collection, sorting, and recycling. One should remember that we are using plastics since we wanted to use a more resource efficient and lightweight material, replacing all the types of materials we now are wanting to go back to due to the pollution we are facing around the globe. We should then question ourselves, is this really the right way to go? There is a study made from TrueCost comparing the environmental cost for plastics versus alternative material, showing that the net environmental cost actually will be higher when moving away from plastics. Here in this example, we are looking at consumer goods, which is a big sector for plastics. One might think that it is better to use paper, wood, glass, or metal, since these materials can be recycled. But we miss the fact that more material is needed to replace plastics, up to 4 times more on average. And the recycling processes for these materials are quite energy consuming, meaning that the switch away from plastics will not reduce the environmental impact, but rather increase it. We really need to remember the facts in this debate. But what are your thoughts on plastics and PVC, Jenny?
Well, needless to say, we know that plastics are essential to modern life. Plastics can enhance quality of life in ways that other materials cannot. Plastics can help prolong the freshness of food. They can help shield and transport sterilized medical supplies. They can meet resource needs and reduce waste, energy use, and emissions. And the importance of plastics is perhaps today more obvious than ever. And what about PVC? Well, healthcare and its defense against COVID-19 is heavily dependent on products made by plastics and PVC, such as personal protection equipment like gloves, goggles, and face shields. And you will also find plastics and PVC in respirators, but of course also the use of PVC wall covering and flooring inside hospitals, as they can be efficiently disinfected. So without doubt, plastics and PVC play a significant role in our society for protection, for health, and for the environment. So PVC plays an important role, not only for industry, but also for the society. PVC is essential in our everyday lives, and it's one of the most commonly produced plastics in the world. I think that many people still remember the Greenpeace campaign against PVC a few decades ago, and all the traction that PVC got in combination with improved production methods and developed chemistry has led to positive movements by the industry. Additives and plasticizers have been improved from an environmental perspective, and the market for non-phthalate plasticizers is constantly growing, primarily in Europe and North America, but the trend is also very clear in Asia, specifically in China and India. But despite this, PVC is struggling with its bad reputation, and even if the industry has improved and regulations have stopped harmful substances, it is still in the spotlight for the wrong reasons. Consumers cannot possibly navigate in the debate around phthalates and potentially harmful substances. So, consequently, some brand owners are taking a stand against PVC and moving towards other solutions, not necessarily better ones. So as a producer of a more sustainable non-phthalate plasticizer, we believe it's our responsibility to take part in the conversation and to ensure people realize that PVC can actually be a great choice if made in the right way. So to meet growing demand of non-phthalate plasticizer, we developed Pevalen. Perstorp's Pevalen represent the next generation of non-phthalate plasticizers for use in soft PVC. Soft or flexible PVC, as it's also called, is widely used, and plasticizers make up a significant portion of these plastics. Pevalen is a plasticizer developed with the future in mind. It's not only because it's a true non-phthalate plasticizer with superior plasticizing efficiency, but also because we've put in a lot of effort to make the manufacturing process as sustainable as possible. So plasticizer, they usually make up to 20 to 50% of flexible PVC, so making them more sustainable can have a big impact on the world around us. Pevalen is a pentaerythritol tetravalrate, or PETV, and that is formed by combining one pentaerythritol molecule with 4 valeric acid molecules. And this non-phthalate plasticizer has properties that make it technically superior in several areas, not only to traditional phthalate plasticizers, but also compared to the other leading non-phthalate plasticizers. And Perstorp produces both pentaerythritol and valeric acid. In fact, Perstorp is actually one of the world's biggest suppliers of valeric acid and pentaerythritol, and that gives us an excellent supply security of raw materials. So Pevalen, it's not only a phthalate-free plasticizer, but it also comes with many performance benefits. In here we have listed a few of its benefits, and it's really a few properties that we have picked here. So apart from being based on phthalate-free chemistry, it has excellent UV stability. It comes with unbeatable softness, and it enables our product, our consumers, or sorry, our customers to have a faster processing. And it also enables low volatility. So a few words about the UV stability. So here, due to Pevalen's aliphatic structure, it has excellent UV stability. So what does that mean? Well, it means that our customers normally can reduce or even remove UV stabilizing additives from their formulation. And in this picture, you will see the results of our own internal test that we have done on Pevalen compared to some other general purpose plasticizers that you can find on the market. But these results have actually been confirmed by customers who have replicated these tests. So this is really a good property of Pevalen. Well, another advantage when it comes to Pevalen is that it's a very efficient plasticizer. So what does that mean? Well, it simply means that if you're using Pevalen, normally you can use between 10 to 20% less of Pevalen compared to other plasticizer and still get the same softness in the material. And this is, of course, also an opportunity for our customers to increase the usage of carbon neutral fillers and then less of the plasticizer if they're using Pevalen. And this is, of course, giving our customers a cost benefit. And some words about the storage stability. Well, when you are storing Pevalen in a storage tank, it's not that sensitive to lower temperatures. So the viscosity of Pevalen is really less impacted with decreased temperatures. So that means that our customers can actually store Pevalen in a tank without having a heating system to it. And that also gives some energy savings for our customers. And of course, that also has a good impact on sustainability. And some words about production advantages for our customers. Well, if you look here, you can see the absorption time of Pevalen compared to other plasticizers. And that means that you can actually reduce time in your production process. And it's actually up to more than 30% faster when we have done some tests internally. And you can also see here that Pevalen reaches the point when the material is solidified at a lower temperature compared to some of the other plasticizers that we have trialed. And that gives our customers a potential to lower the temperatures or increase the line speed in their process. Also, when it comes to the product durability, we have been talking about durability and in connection with sustainability. And of course, the longer time a product lasts, the better for the environment. And if you have a low volatility, then the product will also last longer. And here you can see that the volatility is really good with Pevalen compared to other general purpose plasticizers.
Okay, so we are back to my favorite topic, innovation. And so to develop and introduce new molecules to the market can take up to 10 years. It is not only a time-consuming process, it is quite costly as well. And thus you want to be sure that you're doing the right things to make it worth it. Today it's not only about substituting unwanted and harmful substances. It is about making the right choices and going towards something which is more sustainable and that enables our customers to become more sustainable. Either way, the expectations are constantly increasing, as well as the requirements for new products. So for us, the challenge to develop a product that is not only safer, but also more sustainable is quite tough, but not impossible. We are on this pathway of translating all these challenges and needs into opportunities for Perstorp. So let's look into how we do this. Let's talk about the value chain. To understand our customers' needs, we need to understand the plastic value chain and work from different perspectives. Each part of the value chain are facing their challenges and needs, which then dictates the way forward, as you can see here on this slide. The substances used when making our products will influence applications they can be applied in, as well as the recycling potential in the end-of-life phase. The more we know and understand from each step of the chain, the faster we can drive the development forward. For us as a company, it is important to have a clear ambition, which in our case is to become finite material neutral. And one way to achieve this is through the mass balance concept. And so, the chemical industry is not starting with a large capital of trustworthiness. On the contrary, we are starting from minus. We have a reputation to nurse. The industry needs to decide if we recognize that we are part of the problem, but aim to be part of the solution. If wanting to be part of the solution, we have to work to create real change for the future of our planet, not just moving around numbers and creating complicated theoretical systems. Our experience is that credibility comes with transparency, as well as an understandable mass balance methodology, applying physical and chemical traceability. The industry has to be very careful when it comes to credibility. Otherwise, the whole concept of mass balance can be questioned and seen as greenwashing. So how do we achieve this? In our case, we have decided to work with ISCC, which stands for International Sustainability and Carbon Certification, which is a global certification system. The certification ensures a more sustainable solution by facilitating fully traceable and deforestation-free supply chains. This enables each actor on the market to source sustainable products from any certificate holder with the aim to work towards a world which is less dependent on fossil raw materials. The certification is proof that the renewable input in our products is sourced and produced sustainably and responsibly according to the requirements highlighted here in the 6 bullets on the slide. And the mass balance is handled in the right way. Reliability and transparency are essential. Our greenhouse gas emission calculations are also ISCC certified. This is a way of securing that the greenhouse gas emission calculations are done correctly. Through the yearly audit process, the greenhouse gas emission calculations are annually updated and controlled by a third-party certification body. All the parties in the value chain are certified to ensure sustainable sourcing. The fact that our products come with an ISCC certificate guarantees that the renewable input is sustainably sourced and lives up to the requirements set for a more livable future. Physical traceability. What is important for us is to show that there is a traceability, a real physical connection between the raw material used, the site where we produce, and the actual product. This will then lead to a result of an increased demand of the different raw materials used, and in turn lead to a real transition towards a greener planet. Our product cannot become greener than its raw materials and the share used. For some of our products, we can, thanks to the mass balance using renewable raw materials in a production setup, partly or fully transition them into pro products, like you can see here for our pentaerythritol, a fossil grade, and then a bioattributed grade with up to 40% renewable content linked to the renewable raw material used. The possibility to make this transition is directly linked to the availability of the renewable raw materials needed. And for pentaerythritol, we can go 100% renewable in this case. Already in 2010, we launched the first bioattributed product in our portfolio, Rockstar, which we call our Rockstar. This was quite early, and the market was not really ready for it at the time. Now the picture looks completely different, and with the pro-environmental portfolio of products launched in 2017, the timing couldn't have been better. The demand for pro products is constantly increasing, where we now just last year introduced Pevalen Pro to the Pro family. So Jenny, please tell us a bit more about this product.
Yes, Pevalen Pro is our bioattributed counterpart to Pevalen, and it's really that we are replacing the fossil raw materials to renewable raw materials in the production of Pevalen Pro. And this Pevalen Pro product will be ISCC certified as all our other bio-attributed products. And right now we can offer it up to around 40% with renewable content. But of course, it has the long-term potential to become fully renewable. So in Pevalen, we are using natural gas, acetaldehyde, and methanol as some of the raw materials coming into the process. And they are then replaced with biogas, bioacetaldehyde, and biomethanol when producing Pevalen Pro. And then depending on the different combinations, if we're using only biogas or a combination of biogas and biomethanol, etc., we can offer Pevalen Pro in 3 different grades today. So from the lowest grade of 8% of renewable content to almost 30% of renewable content. So trying to explain the mass concept, the mass balance concept a little bit more. Well, you cannot make more Pevalen Pro than the corresponding raw material coming into the production process. So if you are producing Pevalen, then you have fossil raw materials coming into the process. But if you have customers ordering Pevalen Pro 36, then we will put in the corresponding amount of the renewable raw materials, here illustrated with renewable A and renewable B. So it goes into our process, and in the production process is mixed with the fossil material. And then when we deliver to our customers, it could very well be that someone ordering Pevalen will have some molecules with green carbons, and some of the customers ordering Pevalen Pro will have black carbons. So this is really what the mass balance concept is all about. And if we wouldn't be producing with the mass balance concept, then we would have to have a completely new production site with new steel on the ground, and that would not be very sustainable, and it would not be very cost efficient. So this is a really good way to have a cost efficient and yet sustainable production method. And it also means that Pevalen and Pevalen Pro, they are the identical molecules. So they can be used for the same applications and in exactly the same formulations without any additional lab or production verifications or trials. The only difference with Pevalen Pro and Pevalen is the origin of the raw material, but from a chemical perspective, the final molecule is actually the same.
Yeah, we will not stop there. Our work never stops. Innovation goes on. We have to keep moving forward and make the changes we so badly are in the need of. The power of change is incredibly strong when all of us are moving in the same direction. Our direction has never been clearer. We will continue to innovate and strive to become finite material neutral and to achieve the transition into more sustainable solutions. Our portfolio with bio-attributed products will continue to grow to fulfill the needs that we see looking ahead. We will collaborate upstream and downstream to work towards our ambition, because after all, no company is greener than its suppliers.
So this was our webinar presentation. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you, Linda and Jenny, for a very interesting presentation. I would like to ask everybody to stay on the line, as we will now move into a very traditional Swedish fika to discuss certain topics a bit more. For those who don't know, a fika is a break where you have a coffee and a cake and a chat about things, a sacred moment for many Swedes. So, of course, I've been listening closely and have some questions to ask. Let's start, I would say, at the basics. My question is, you have developed these sustainable versions, or like sustainable components to PVC now. But is PVC in itself a sustainable material, would you say?
Well, I can take that one, I think. Actually, PVC is one of the thermoplastics with less dependency of fossil raw materials because a large share of the molecule is common rock salt. And globally, we can see continuous improvements on reducing heavy metals when producing PVC. In Europe, the heavy metals have been totally phased out since years back. And also, I think the durability aspect is really important because it has an important impact on sustainability, as the total environmental impact is spread out through its lifetime. And in some cases, it's up to 50 years or even more for PVC products, because PVC is primarily used for long-lasting products, and it's not that common in the single-use sector. And now, when both PVC grades and plasticizers can be made on renewable content, I think the PVC attractiveness from a sustainability aspect is even bigger.
I understand, thank you. But when we talk about the environmental perspective of the plastics industry and the PVC industry, I hear a lot of different terminology. For example, there's two words that stuck: bio-based and bio-attributed. Can you explain to me what the difference between those is?
Yeah, it's very understandable that people get confused by the terminology. Bio-based, it's when you have a specific amount of renewable raw materials inside a product, while the term bio-attributed refers to products which are produced according to the mass balance concept. So if you buy a product that is mass balanced, you will contribute to the shift towards renewable raw materials, even if the product that you keep in your hand that you actually bought might not contain the actual green carbons. So it's really the same principle that applies for products like fair trade chocolate or green electricity.
Right, so in the end, a product that's created by the mass balance concept, would you say, like Pevalen Pro, for example, would you say that Pevalen Pro is better than regular Pevalen from a performance perspective?
If we go back to the picture that we saw before with the sheep, where if we think about the Dolly sheep, which was cloned, it was actually the same sheep, same DNA. This is the same thing here. We're talking about the same chemistry, the same molecule. The difference is the origin of the raw materials. So when you work with Pevalen or Pevalen Pro, you can expect the same performance, the same behavior. Nothing will change in your application or formulation.
Okay. And when you talk about these raw materials and renewable content, is it possible to get Pevalen Pro with 100% renewable content?
Yeah. This we are working with different projects to implement this. It's a matter of availability and cost effectiveness, but it's not very far away to achieve this as we see now. But we don't have anything in our portfolio at the moment, but in a few years this could be a possibility.
And I would like to add there that is also the beauty of this mass balance concept. So if our customers are already using Pevalen or Pevalen Pro 36, if we then, when we launch Pevalen Pro 100, they can just shift to Pevalen Pro 100 without any further qualifications.
Exactly. So we are back to the discussion earlier where we talked about developing a new solution could take up to 10 years. Mm-hmm. When we have this ready, you can switch right away.
Correctly. Right. And you also discussed availability of raw materials, and that's one part of this matter of getting to up to 100% renewable content. So where do you get your raw materials from at the moment?
Well, I think we should start by emphasizing that the ISC certification also includes that the renewable raw material needs to be sustainably sourced. so we cannot contribute to deforestation, for example. And primarily today, we are using waste products as manure for the biogas production. And we also use waste from crops like sugar beet tops and from forest production. But we also use crops like wheat today. But we are really trying to move away from that type of raw materials and only using waste products from, for example, agriculture or food production. But that is something that we are working on with our suppliers to have that available in the future.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like I wanted to. Then we have a product, Pevalen or Pevalen Pro. A bit more concrete. Where can it be used? What kind of application areas do we have?
Yeah, Pevalen and its bioattributed body, Pevalen Pro, is targeting sensitive and close to human applications. So that can be consumer products like carpets and coated fabrics, but also for sports equipment or personal protection equipment, but also in automotive interiors. But you can actually also find Pevalen in other applications, which are not that close to people, where Pevalen was chosen not because of its non-phthalate properties primarily, but based on its performance benefits.
All right, thank you. I think that's all the questions I have at this point. I would like to thank you for this very interesting presentation. And for everyone on the line, I would like to highlight that this presentation will be available on demand after we finish this webinar. And if you have any questions or have written down any questions to us through the tool, then we will try to get back to you within a few days with an answer. And please also don't hesitate to contact us or consult our website if you would like some more information on Pevalen or Pevalen Pro.
And you can, of course, also contact me directly. I'm always up for a virtual fika to talk about Pevalen and Pevalen Pro a little bit more. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your attention.